So my point is, before I met you, I actually thought that it's not the right thing for the black people to feel like that they belong to each other, not to the bigger community. Just to belong to a group of people just by color is wrong. But after knowing you and speaking with you about the history and everything, I understood that, okay, you can't help but feel like some sense of belonging to these people. They are your people, the shared struggle, the shared experience and everything. And now I watch this, and the thing that I can't believe is that they were all black. And people are still spinning it into a race thing, but it can't be. And what I can't believe is, how do these, maybe because you're older a little bit, so maybe, I don't know how old they were, but if they are young, they didn't experience maybe much struggle as like a community. I don't know, it's just insane to me that five black people would gang up on a black person and to kill him for no apparent reason. I don't know what to say about it, but I'm sure you have something to say about it.
Well, to be honest, firstly, okay, so people have talked about, and it's crazy, and it upsets me sometimes, because it's like you have to stay in touch with what's going on in the world, and sometimes I disconnect so I can do other things, grow spiritually, do whatever I have to do. And I was actually disconnected for a few days when this whole thing came up. So it's like for the past 24 hours, I'm just trying to catch up with everything, see what's going on. And just like you said, what is the most upsetting thing, and the thing that we have to say, and it's crazy because I looked at D.L. Hughley hosting the Daily Show last night, and then I also looked at, who most guys don't know, my man Willie D. Willie D from Houston, the Ghetto Boys. He ended up having a podcast now, or some type of show where he talks. And both of them said exactly what I said yesterday, which was like the saddest thing about this, but the thing we have to project out there is the fact that it was 5 black people. And not just 5 black people, the 5 police officers that were given the responsibility to go into the streets to help the community. And these are the ones who took their position, took their power, took their badges, and used it to literally terrorize citizens. So like, yeah, it's like you said, and I've traveled the world now, and I've seen that people, they don't quite understand what the whole situation is, this whole black cause, and a thing that kind of binds us together, but reality is that our experience is different than the experience of, I think, anybody, different than anyone else in the world, as far as what we had to go through in order to be in the country that we're in, what we had to fight for, struggle, the civil rights movements, the movements before that, we had to go through Jim Crow, the prison systems, slavery, of course, before that, like everything that made us one solid unit. But most importantly, this is the reason why I say it, we're the only people that I know in the world that we don't even know where we come from. Okay, that's why they came up with stuff like the Lost Tribe of Shabazz and this and that. We come to countries, like when I came over to these countries, and people will be able to tell me more about who I am than I know. They say, well, based on your such so your skin tone, based on your son look like he's like this. But based on your nose, you're like this. And I'm like, these are things I never even thought about before. Because people can look at you and tell who you are more than you know who you are, because we have no roots. So all we have is each other. I remember... oh man, what was this guy's name? I forgot his name, but he had made a very good point. He said, look, they told us all this stuff about going back to Africa and this and that. And the same thing happened to me. We get back to Africa. Africa don't want us, because Africa looks at us and we're mixed, and we've got us other stuff that's in us. Nobody else wants us. So we start to realize we are all that we have. Everything that we trace back to us, what we go through. So this is the only people we got, and we're supposed to take care of each other. And even with that, because of the crap that we have, because of what we come through as far as with slavery, and as far as a lack of community, as far as a lack of culture, and as far as this and that, we still have the inner fighting and inner, the trouble that we have, inner turmoil in our communities. So now, with all that being the case, we look at a situation like this, and like I said yesterday, and like I heard D.L. Hughley say last night, and like I heard Willie D say last night, everybody said the same thing. That's why it's so disgraceful, because you expect that when we put these people in power, or when they get in a position of power, that the first thing they're going to do is say, we're going to be different than what we were raised under. We were raised under situations where people came into our communities and treated us wrong, so we're going to make sure we do the right thing. but they go and do exactly the opposite after they're chosen for a unit. And I'm looking and seeing now, every one of them, or at least 4 of the 5, had issues before. They already were reprimanded before. And the thing that upset me last night, listening to Willie D, and I find out that the police chief or whatever, I don't know what her position is, police chief or the head, that she even has her own roots and she was connected to a different unit from before in another city, that they were responsible for killing a 92-year-old woman, a unit just like this unit. And they was responsible for killing a 92-year-old black woman. And they were also responsible for hurting some other person. All this stuff is recorded. And so she came from all of that stuff and came over here. And the point is that despite all of that, I am happy to see that she's doing the right thing this time.
Still working after they killed a 92-year-old.
Yeah.
The fact that it's still...
Yeah, and this is the point. Is like you have to have the red flags and you have to learn, live and learn. And I'm not gonna say that she didn't live and learn. Like Willie D, he closed his jaw and he was like, listen, I got my eye on you, talking directly to the lady. And he's from over that area. So like it's a different thing with him. With me, I'm looking and I'm thinking, I'm hoping that what she's showing forward or showing forth shows that she learned from the lessons of the past from one angle, meaning that she knows she's supposed to take the high road. But from the other angle, apparently is more learning to do because of the fact that they didn't keep a better eye on these people. And these people, they can't do it unless they feel like they have not just the authority, but also the backing that if they do something like that, they can get away with it. And yeah, other cultures, other colors, they can do it and get away with it. That ain't y'all, number one. And number two is you shouldn't want to be that. You shouldn't want to be the one that says, I'm a police officer so I can get away with police officers to get with. You should be the one that's coming in the community and saying, I'm a police officer and I'm going to show what a police officer is supposed to really be like. Somebody that has the power to harm people, but use the power to help people. So with that being the case, I'm just going to do this real quick. One of the things that D.L. Hughley said, he was like, and it's so deep because I was just saying that all of us are raised the same way. The reason why we're terrified about letting our teenagers go out there, the reason why I brought mine all the way to a different country, because as parents, when we get to the age of parents, we remember what we went through. And we don't want to see them go through that. And while we're there, every time that they leave away from us, we know, we're like literally making dua. Oh God, watch over my child, because you don't know what's going to happen, especially a young black male. So they teach us different things. They teach us, if something happens, you just be quiet. If something happens, you listen, you be respectful. None of that helped him in the situation. And these were people the same color. But I was just saying to him, I said, listen, man, there's certain things that we go through. And I just looked it up and I was like, wow, they have a whole list of them. And let's see what he did that was wrong. 15 ways to stop yourself from being, or to prevent from being battered by a police officer or like this. Okay, 15 ways to reduce the risk of becoming a victim of brutality or misconduct by police. Number 1, stay calm, polite, and respectful. He was calm, polite, respectful the whole time. They rushed up in there, dragged them out the car. The police chief said that before they fired them, they checked every camera everywhere, all the cameras that's on the poles, the cameras from the businesses, everything. They never saw this man's car do anything wrong, which is why the rumors are swirling now saying, or maybe it was some connection to this. It don't have to be a connection with this between. He don't even seem like he would have a connection with these type of people. But it don't have to be a connection with police officers to make them do something wrong. That's how they are. But anyway, stay calm, polite, and respectful. He did that. Stop talking. He didn't talk unless he was talked to, and everything he said was respectful. He said, what's going on? I didn't do anything. They threw him on the ground. He said, you guys are doing a bit much. He did literally talking in the calmest way to kind of just remind them, like, I'm not doing anything. So whatever, like, y'all guys are being a bit much. I didn't even do anything. I'm down. I'm not even trying to jump up. Listen carefully to instructions by the leaf. He was doing that. Obey the commands. He was doing that. Always keep your hands where the officer can see them. They had his hands. He couldn't put his hands anywhere. Then they put him behind his back. Tell him they're going to break his arm off. Never display a firearm or did no firearms. In the event, ask the officer to direct you to how they would like to how it to be presented safely, talking about if they want ID and stuff. We never even got to that. But it's too many situations that we know about that. They tell you, get your ID, and then when you, don't move, and start shooting. You the one who told them to get the ID. So the whole point is that you got to tell them, I'm going in my left pocket. My ID is right there. Or if you want to, you can go and get it for me. I'm going in my glove compartment because my registration is in it. This is what we have to do in order to survive with people who's supposed to be being paid by our money to protect and serve us. Anyway, move slowly and carefully, which I just showed you. Move slowly and carefully. I ain't even read that yet. This is what we're taught. And with all of that, it didn't help. Never move to a location behind the police officer. He couldn't do that. They was all on his back and he was on the ground. Never reach for or attempt to take an officer's weapon. He didn't do that. And they're trying to lie and said that he did that, but they checked every camera and he didn't do it. And if he would have been justified. The man was being beat down so bad that it would have been instant reaction, but he never did it. Like his brother said, I feel like I didn't. That was the other thing I saw. I saw the interview with his brother, and his brother was like, he was like, what upsets me most is that I wasn't there to protect him. They said, because he said the whole world knows and sees now who my brother was. He was the calmest, sweetest, nicest person. He said, I wasn't like that. He said, and I feel bad that it was him and not me, because if it was me, I would have fought back. He said, but my brother wasn't that type of person. So the whole point is not fight back, okay? Never reach for, attempt to weapon, never resist arrest, never argue or provoke. He never did any of this stuff. Never walk away. This is the one thing that they can try to get him on that he didn't do, but this is the one thing. Never walk away from police until they tell you that you're free, and never flee from the officer if they have attempts to arrest you. Now, in that situation, after they pummeled him, snatched him out of his car, beat him down, smacked him, pepper sprayed him, and tased him, his human instinct to survive made him do like this and start moving and going and running. And that's what made him worse, as everybody said, including the police chief. She said, what appalled me is that when they got him the second time, they were worse. They were even more riled up. That's all of 15. That's all of them. That's all of them.
So basically, it's impossible to avoid police.
That is impossible unless their system, their culture, their training, the base foundation of them change. There's no way around it, because I guess everybody saw the video, by the second time they got him, they treated this dude like they was gangsters in the street, like they was some daggone hitmen from Mob Boss. They wanted to just give him a good whooping. They have this man handcuffed, two dudes holding him back like this, and the other dude is just literally just giving him haymakers in his face. Wow! And then bragged about it afterward and said, yo, I don't know what kept him up. What kept him up is that your two boys was holding him up. See, I don't know what kept him up. He literally said, I was giving him haymakers. I gave him one haymaker. Wow. Gave him another haymaker. He was still up. What the hell is wrong with y'all? And then on top of all that, once he get down, then the same dude that's all tired, he goes, gets a break while the other four is still on him, and then take out his nightstick or baton or whatever, and come and start hitting him with the baton. And y'all wonder why he would have tried to keep going until he got home, like he was calling his mom. Again, another person calling out their mom, calling his mom the whole time. Mom, because he's figuring I'm close enough to home. My mom actually might be able to hear me. The more you think about it, the more upsetting it is, And we supposed to be better. So when we're not better, you should call their names out like they were saying. You should make a point and say, don't be like this. This is a cautionary tale.
I'm going to say something. I don't know if you agree with it or not. You think these people should be executed?
That's what his brother said. It's so crazy you said that. They asked him, what do you think should happen? He said, listen, I know people want to say nice things this and that. He said, I think that it should happen to them exactly what they did to my brother. I think that they should get a death sentence. And I agree with them, because that's the only way. The problem, of course, is that it's black people, but they're police officers, and it'll send a message to all police officers to think twice. The other thing that I heard people say is that it should be something written that them and their families, and it's sad that the family have to suffer, but they are the ones who have to pay the civil, if there's anything in civil court. Because usually they'll let the police officers go off for criminal charges, and then they'll get them in civil court, and civil court, the taxpayers have to pay that money to the people. The person who did the crime, that did the assault, don't have to pay anything. So there's something else I heard people say, is that it should be written in the laws that when a police officer harms someone, that them and their families are the ones who have to pay whatever ruling is on them because of the victim, not the taxpayers' money. And so we need to do some changing. We need to come together and change. And I'm happy to see that Memphis is wide awake, and everybody else needs to back them up.